Hello there, lovely people. It's Alex from Nintendo Live here, and today we're reviewing for you Lunistice on the Nintendo Switch. This review was originally written by the superb Roland Ingram for NintendoLive.com and has been adapted for video by me. But anyway, that's more than enough waffling. Let's dive right into things. Ever since game fans collectively realized that crunchy polygons were worth getting nostalgic over, PS1-style indie games have been growing into the new pixel art. With Lunistice, the one-person development team A Grumpy Fox has delivered a shining example of this modernized lo-fi aesthetic. Sparkling and chaotic but coordinated palettes of Technicolor jaggies, it's immediately arresting, and once you start playing, it just gets better and better. The setup for the high-speed platforming adventure is something to do with a Tanuki called Hana traveling through her dreams to get to the moon. Or something to that effect. You won't be sitting through any cutscenes in this game. A Grumpy Fox lets the gameplay do the talking. The skeletal narrative is sufficient excuse for playful and imaginative stage designs, ranging from a Japanese shrine flying water bubble semi-undersea tropical resort with echoes of Sonic colors to a subdued forest of quiet autumn leaves. The spiraling, vertiginous platforming levels are low poly, low res, but with a massive draw distance and a gleaming frame rate. Yes, it looks like a Sega Saturn game, but it's a dream version of what 32-bit gaming really was, kind of like how Shovel Knight is to NES games. Cracked, hovering walkways, twisting rails, floating spheres of water, and endless creative paraphernalia wind off towards the horizon, letting you survey the lines ahead and behind and scout out potential secrets and shortcuts. The striking contrast of early 3D-era graphics with pure fidelity of performance and modern, player-friendly game design somehow triggered a response in us, as if seeing the jaw-dropping, groundbreaking technical might of revolutionary new hardware, but in 1995. In a world where a new console generation seems to bring improved grass modeling as readily as smoother gameplay, that feels like a rare and luxurious treat, especially on Switch, the only console Lunistice has come to for now. There's a Japanese theme throughout the game, centering on Hana's dream world of pagodas, torii gate checkpoints, and Ordango suites, which provide the main collectibles, origami cranes. These things are present in their hundreds on each stage, however the linear level design keeps things from turning into a collectathon bore, a 90s throwback that this game has mercifully elected not to modernize. There's no scouring every corner of big open spaces or backtracking and forth tracking, rather you'll be glimpsing off-the-track little havens just maybe within reach, and then taking leaps of faith to find out what's possible. There are no limitations on how many times you reset, but there is a counter that contributes to your end-of-level grade, along with your crane count. On our first pass, we had a fair few resets on most stages, such was the frequency of the tantalizing possibilities of what we just couldn't resist testing out. Quite apart from that, the game isn't super easy. Although there are no frustrations with limited lives or unfair controls, the challenge of mastering some devious platforming is very much present. Checkpoints are well spaced for the most part, providing welcome relief after tough sections, but not undoing the old-school arcade test of skills served up by particularly gnarly sequences. Hana the Tanuki is virtually superglued to the analog stick, accelerates rapidly, and carries just enough inertia to feel wily once going. A double jump and spin attack lets you soar across cavernous gaps, complemented by a height boost if hit simultaneously. With dynamism, precision, and fast lines, this sometimes feels like an exhilarating 32-bit Sonic that never was. A major contributor to the gameplay is a well-behaved camera. The airy levels don't ask for constant fidgeting, and the fairly limited Y-axis keeps you focused on the path ahead. Potential vertical avenues are placed just within view, or sneakily kept out of view to unsettle when boosters shoot you off into the skies. Whilst that Tanuki suit-style spin attack is used to eliminate enemies, there isn't really any combat in the game, and no boss fights. The enemies are really just platforming obstacles, placed cleverly to squeeze your jump timing or test reflexes and rhythm along a fast rail. Clearly a passion project, the developer A Grumpy Fox originally set out to create Lunistice in their spare time over the course of 30 days. And then slightly more than a year later, they were finally done. Game development is hard. The love that has gone into the game is unmistakable in its attention to detail of control, art, and level design, but there's also a clear delight in video games fueling the whole thing. we were reminded of little fragments of myriad games as we played: the looping rails of 3D Sonic, Mario Odyssey's Luncheon Kingdom, F-Zero's cylindrical sky structures, a whole world pulsing to the beat like Crypto the Necrodancer, even the overwhelming and unspeakable castle ruins of Ico. And when we managed to reach a tricky spot, a smiley block served as a quiet nod from the developer, a token reward for curiosity like a hard-to-reach coin in Super Mario 64. To top off this whole package, there's a shamelessly jingly musical score, which is used to its full. At one extreme, a whole level will dance to the music with a big beat marker even added to the HUD, and at the other, the SFX are laid eerily bare against total silence until parts of the theme are unlocked by progressing through the stage. The audio style is certainly designed to match the graphics with a vintage feel that's harnessed perfectly. Presenting itself modestly as a simple and short experience, Lunistice has masses to offer. A first run is maybe a handful of hours, but the thirst to retry is so strong, it's almost hard to move on to each new stage. Add the challenge of finding all the cranes and hidden items, avoiding resets and setting faster times, plus unlockable characters with different moves, and it's a full and generous package. Launching a hair under $5 or your regional equivalent, weighing in at a lean 600 megabytes, and having a demo on the eShop, Lunistice is simply a must-try game. You've reached the end of the review, and that means it's time for Alex's personal thoughts, and yeah, I absolutely love this game. I'm a real sucker for classic, really retro 3D platformers, and I mean, especially this style as well. I didn't have a PlayStation growing up, but I was well aware of them, and as a result, it sort of held that sort of graphical style had a sort of a strange mystique about it. It was like, yeah, it's kind of like the N64, but definitely its own thing. More sort of chunkier, more pixelated textures and stuff like that. It was a slightly different look, but it's different enough that I can recognize it. It sort of marries that line for me between the sort of the intense arcade action, which is very much, try and try again, and, it's quick and fast-paced and then you're done, but also with a little bit more meat on its bones, more like a slightly more modern game overall. It's kind of in that middle space. And that's a lovely gooey center for me. Another thing I love is how little I know about the game. I love it when games have a little bit of mystery about them. And I found some secrets at some point. I don't quite know where it's going at this point in time, but I found some little secrets, and the game sort of results in being all sort of slightly glitchy and things like that, as if to sort of say, oh, is it all really a game kind of thing? I don't know where it's going, but I'm intrigued. Longtime fans of the channel will know that I'm a big fan of things like Tori 3D and Tori 2, and this is scratching a very similar itch for me. It's a different kind of game, more sort of, I would say more sort of speed focused and not quite as snappy and short, but as a result it feels like a slightly longer form game, but still definitely doesn't outstay its welcome. I absolutely love it. If you're looking at this and you think that might be fun, as mentioned in the review by Roland, there is a demo on the eShop. Download it, give it a go, and if you think you're going to enjoy it, I guarantee you will, because my word, it's a good.